First story is titled, Update. Am I the a-hole for asking my dad if he missed my birthday party to be with his other family? Original story. My parents divorced 3 years ago because my dad had an affair and the lady got pregnant, and he left us to be with her and a kid. My sister and I hate him, but our mom still wants us to have a relationship with him, so we see him once or twice a month to make her happy. My sister and I turned 16 on Saturday, twins. We had a party in the park with our aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents from both sides of the family. We all wore masks. The only person who didn't come was my dad. He came over yesterday to drop off our present. I swear it was made for an 8-year-old, and said that he was sorry that he couldn't come to our birthday and that he was busy. He lost his job in May and has been sitting on his butt playing video games since because nobody's hiring, so I know he wasn't working. I asked him exactly why he couldn't come to our birthday, and he just said that he was busy. So I looked at him and asked if the reason he missed our 16th birthday was because he wanted to be with his other family instead. He left without saying anything, and I've been banned from their house for being rude. Am I the a-hole for asking my dad if he missed my sister's birthday because he'd rather be with his other family? Edit. He hates it when we call them his other family because he wants us to think of them as our family. He even tried for a while to get us to call his new wife Mom. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Adults hate to be faced to the truth, especially if our children are the culprit. At least, you are no longer expected to see your dad anymore. Info. Not the a-hole either way, but did he call? Say anything like, oops, sorry for missing today. I'll swing by tomorrow. No. I always hate it when parents act like this. You expected nothing and still got disappointed. Not the a-hole. You ask a difficult question and deadbeat daddy didn't like it. Sorry your dad sucks, OP. He does suck, but at least now that she's banned, she cannot be forced to go and see this loser. This is a win-win, OP. You got to call him out for being a deadbeat, and you can't be forced to see him anymore. Well done, you. And happy birthday to you and your sister. And now for the update. The visits with my dad had stopped. Instead, we spent those weekends with our grandparents, which is way better. My sister and I returned the dresses. My sister bought a jacket that she liked, and I got shoes and makeup. When my dad found out that my sister and I weren't visiting anymore, he got mad. He said he didn't mean it when he said I was banned, and I need to have a relationship with my brother and sister. Yes, this was how my dad decided to announce that his wife is pregnant. He also thought that would be the right time to tell us that our sister would need our room, so when we visit, we'd take the couch. He also wanted 50-50 custody. When our mom heard that he's giving away our room and wants to go to court for more custody, she lost it. She screamed at him about how irresponsible and selfish he is, and told him that he'd be left out of court if he tried to get custody without us even having a bedroom there. I think he's still trying to go to court, but my sister and I don't like him and don't want to stay there anymore, and we don't have a room, so there's pretty much zero chance we're gonna have to stay there. Also, my mom introduced me and my sister to her boyfriend the other day, and it seems great. He really wants to get to know me and my sister individually, something my dad didn't even care to do, and he's so nice to us and my mom. They're talking about him moving in a few months. So, even though my dad's a jerk, I guess the story still has a happy ending. Edit. I just looked it up, and we're in a state where there's no guarantee they'll take what we say into account, and you legally can't refuse visitation. Glad there's some happy ending there, and he would be laughed out of court. Why force a 16-year-old to share a room with a 2 to 3-year-old? No judge would be happy with that. Plus, you and your sister are 16. You can decide your own custody. He's not making us share a room with our half-brother. He wants us to sleep on the couch. Wait a minute, was that couch singular? Is he not only denying you and your twin a bed, but also expecting you to share a couch? Yeah, it's a pull-out couch though, so he thinks it's perfectly fine. I hate to be that guy, but it's likely that your dad is asking for 50-50 custody at this late date to avoid paying child support. Or so he and his wife can have free babysitters. God, your dad sounds like the most embarrassing idiot ever. He doesn't even work and sits around playing video games all day, and that other woman desperately wanted to nab him? Good riddance. I'm so glad things works out for the better for you guys and your mom. Right. Imagine how pissed off she must be. Congrats, you stole your man. Have a potato that does nothing but consume resources and impregnates you. Oh, and have fun spending part of your paycheck on his child support. Mwah. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for shaming my family for not supporting me enough during my cancer treatment? I think I'm in the right on this, but I've also been told I'm an abrasive a-hole, so maybe I should have handled this differently. I'm 25 female and have cancer. I'm not going to die. We got it early enough to know that I will survive this. Chemo sucks. I'm already sick of the G.I. Jane / Natalie Portman / Imperator Furiosa jokes after I shaved my head, but at least I can now smoke pot in a state that bans recreational marijuana use. The other night, I got phone calls from my sister and my cousin letting me know that our aunt, who is the most overzealous, narcissistic, self-absorbed woman we know, was planning on having the whole family show their support for my cancer diagnosis by getting everyone to shave their heads. Personally, I always thought this stunt was really stupid, and my sister and cousin are against this for a number of reasons. My sister is a flight attendant and just got off furlough, so she doesn't want to jeopardize her job by showing up to work with a shaved head when her airline has a very strict dress code. My cousin is 14, has waist-length red hair that makes her look like a ginger Rapunzel, and is already dealing with self-esteem issues. Her hair is the only thing she likes about herself, so shaving it off would destroy her mentally. They tried to talk my aunt out of it, but she wasn't budging. We think my aunt is doing this to get clout on social media, maybe even get an article in People. I don't know. Like I said, she will make anything about her. So without naming names, I made this post on Facebook letting everyone in our family know that the jig is up. The gist was that I don't want to see anyone shaving their heads in the name of supporting me just because I have cancer, especially when some of them were the ones behind the G.I. Jane jokes. Instead of doing something that would make them feel good about themselves, why not do something to make me feel good? Like, oh, I don't know, driving me to my appointments now and then, or helping around the apartment or cooking when I don't feel like Hot Pockets again. Just something to make my routine a little easier while I deal with the chemo side effects. Hell, even a lemonade stand will do because this is America and our healthcare system is a joke. This backfired. And now many of my relatives, spearheaded by my aunt, are putting me on blast by calling me ungrateful. I should be happy to see that I have my whole family supporting me in my battle, barf, by doing this selfless act. They even went as far as to say that I was acting like a brat by saying they don't help out enough, and what I'm asking for is too much. Even though they have done diddly squat since I got my diagnosis. So now my family, except my sister and cousin, think I am an entitled jerk who is using her cancer diagnosis to get more out of them. And maybe I am the a-hole for how I handled this. I need a second opinion. Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. You are the one with cancer. You are the one who needs the extra help. And guess what? Forcing a 14-year-old girl to shave her head is gonna do what? Having your poor sister who just got her job back put that in jeopardy is going to do what exactly? Play the cancer card. I have cancer. Bug off. I know, right? I'm not a fan of our extended family, but I love my sister and cousin. I would be furious if their lives got screwed because of me. My sister's career is everything to her, and our cousin is just the sweetest little cinnabon. I am quite protective of her. Dear family, it has come to my attention that some of you think I'm attempting to use the cancer card to guilt you into supporting me through my treatment. Nothing could be further from the truth. Help or don't help. I care very little at this point. What I do care about is that a couple of my relatives are being pressured into shaving their heads against their will by a certain someone, risking their careers as well as their self-esteem. I cannot stress enough that I am totally against this pointless virtue signaling, and will call said person out full blast on every social media outlet I have should any of you be forced to go bald against your will. I apologize if my first post made me seem entitled and selfish, but I'm sick. Yes, cancer card played. And tired of the self-righteous BS and a certain someone's desire to gain likes at my expense. You know who you are. Stop it now. Love, Opie. Not a hole. Not a hole. I had cancer, so I'm sorry to hear that. I know firsthand it sucks. They're trying to make you feel like the a-hole because they want to support you in the way they feel like supporting you, and not the way you want to be supported. That's complete BS in my opinion. Forgive me if I'm making an assumption here, but it sounds like you have attention monsters on your hands here. They're unwanted and unneeded. It sounds like your aunt especially wants to talk about this when asked, so people can say, "Oh, how nice of you to join her," so she can look good. It's crap and you really don't need it on top of this. Not Day Hall. This support is what people who don't want to provide actual help do. To save face and gain social points, just like you pointed out. Your aunt can bug right off. Take my word for it. I'm just about to go no contact on this branch of the family. I'll make my own family with my sister and cousin. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to drive my granddaughter home from school after this summer? My son and his wife had an almost 4-year-old daughter together. Last year, they had to move from City A to City B, about 20 minutes without traffic, away because it's cheaper to live there. My son still works in City A, and therefore they chose to keep their daughter at her daycare because he had to come here anyway for work every morning. I also live in City A and work there. I get done with work around 3. The issue is my daughter-in-law doesn't drive. My son does, but he doesn't get done with work until 7 and the daycare closes at 5:30. They came to me last year and asked if I would mind driving my granddaughter home every day. They offered to give me gas money, and at first I agreed because it seemed like good arrangement. I work close to her daycare and get off before they close. After a year though, it's became a problem. There often isn't traffic on my way there, but I get caught up in it on my way home. Honestly, while it's only 3 days a week, it's become such a chore, and while I love my granddaughter, I couldn't keep it up. I did warn my son and daughter-in-law a few times that I wasn't sure how much longer I could do this, and they told me that once she turned 4, they plan to send her to a preschool close to daughter-in-law's work. So I figured the end was in sight. Recently I mentioned something about preschool, and my daughter-in-law said it was too expensive, and since the daycare does a lot of activities with my granddaughter, they want to keep her there. I said okay, but I was done driving once she turned 4. I said that we originally agreed it'd end then. This also gives them 4 months to find a new daycare or figure out a new ride situation. Now my son and daughter-in-law are upset with me because apparently they have no one else that can drive her home from her daycare, and they'll have to move her to one that's closer, which will be traumatic. She's a very social and bubbly little girl. I said I'm sure she'll be fine switching to a new school. That was the plan in a way, wasn't it? They told me that they guessed they'll have to find somewhere else, then started guilting me that I was causing her daycare to lose money. I said that wasn't my problem. They also say I have no good reason to stop, but I pointed out I don't need a reason. I've still been driving my granddaughter home as she doesn't turn 4 until the summer, but things are tense. Am I the a-hole? Edit, please stop judging my daughter-in-law for not driving. She has a medical condition that prohibits her from driving. Not the a-hole. They're being completely unreasonable and ungrateful to boot. If you feel like being a saint among saints, you can offer to drive her to your house and watch her until her dad gets off work. I have no interest in watching her. I love her, but she is a handful, and I couldn't watch her even for a couple of hours a night. That's perfectly fine. Good luck with your kid and his partner. They sound like a handful too. Since daughter-in-law can't drive due to a medical condition, she can take an Uber to pick up their daughter. I bet they'll find a preschool is much cheaper than using Uber 3 days a week. Not at a-hole. They're being lazy and cheap. You gave multiple warnings, well, in advance. You all agreed on a course of action that resolved things and an end date. Then they unilaterally backed out and didn't tell you. If you hadn't brought it up, I can imagine them calling the week after her birthday, wondering why you weren't picking her up. They still have ample time to find an alternative arrangement. They just don't want to, because it's easier to make you do it and not change. Be careful not to fall into the trap of explaining your choice. Just stick with, "I'm sorry, it's impossible," and you should be golden. For what it's worth, the daycare will not lose money. Any daycare worth its salt has a mile-long wait list of children ready to step into a vacancy. Not a-hole. Been there, done that. I used to schlep someone from Minneapolis to St. Paul every day. It got old, but I kept up my agreement and did it for a year. They squawked when I said that once the year was up, I was done with that. This was temporary, but they wanted it for as long as they wanted it. Kind of like your son and daughter-in-law. Excuses, excuses, but it eats into your day, and this isn't your child. You already raised yours. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.